This is a lecture from Open Tuition. To benefit from the lecture, you should download the free lecture notes from opentuition.com.
Chapter 7 deals with the implementation of new or amended IT systems. And the overview of the system of obtaining a new or indeed amending an existing IT system are these steps. Feasibility study, which is basically, is it worth doing at all? Investigation, analysis and design is really looking at what are we going to do. Development is creating new software. We have to train people. We have to install the new software, perhaps new hardware. We have to test it at some point. We have to do the changeover from the old to the new. And then we have to look back and see whether it's been all worthwhile, whether we want anything changed to make it a little bit better, and so on. And this is sometimes called the development life cycle, because really when you get down to this review and maintenance again, you let it bed down for a few months, but really, people will see, well, there are other things we could do with it. And really what you have got going on around here is a kind of a cycle. A couple of years will go by and say, oh, well, we need to renew this again, we need to change that, and so on. But we should go through this cycle again. We should do a feasibility study, like, is it worthwhile? We should carefully design it. We have to retrain people and so on. So it's an iterative, continuous process. And really we have to look at each of these headings and see what's in them in a little bit more detail. First of all, the feasibility study. This is done before you spend too much money. This is a preliminary look. You have to go in, you have to obviously find out some information about what is proposed and what's needed. But it's really before you get the full go-ahead, you do a feasibility study. And it judges whether or not it is economically feasible, which is costs and benefits. Remember, one of the things we said about the desirable attributes of good information was it was cost beneficial. So is the cost of developing new software, putting in new hardware, is it very high cost and the benefit is kind of minimal down there? Maybe we're better not doing it. Is it technically feasible? Will it actually work? Or is it so ambitious, so technically advanced that there's a real risk that it won't work? Is it operationally feasible? Will it actually produce the information and perform the processing which the organization requires and needs? And finally, socially, will staff like using it? Will customers want to use it? It's all very well inventing a beautiful new website, and you hope that customers will go there for all that technical support. But if they would rather talk to somebody on the phone, then it's maybe socially difficult. We have to find some way of kind of weaning them off the phone and to use the website for help rather than speaking to someone. So, cost versus benefits. And this is what we kind of major on in this chapter. The technical feasibility, the operational feasibility, the social feasibility, remember about those. But we're going to be looking mainly at the economic feasibility, the costs versus the benefits. And here we've got a very kind of unbalanced kind of equation, really. And it's because the costs are very easy, really, to estimate. You can go out and you can get a quotation for new hardware. You can go to a software company and say, how much is it going to cost you to develop this new software? And the costs are essentially of now. You're spending money now, close up, to get the new system. However, the benefits are much more difficult to actually assess. You might have tangible or quantifiable benefits. You might be able to say that if we automate this process, then we're able to do without 2 members of staff and we'll save their wages. In fact, an awful lot of IT projects don't do that. What they do is they kind of redeploy staff in other areas. They say, right, you don't have to do this mundane, boring, repetitive work anymore. We'll get you doing something else where maybe you'll be able to increase the profitability of the company. So there aren't always tangible benefits, and indeed they're likely to be relatively small. Much more valuable are likely to be intangible benefits. For example, greater efficiency, fewer errors, fewer times where you have to rework a piece of production because it has gone wrong, less waste. Fewer errors mean greater customer satisfaction. If there's greater customer satisfaction, better quality, then there is improved reputation. And indeed it is this improved reputation and increase in goodwill which may be the single greatest benefit, that over time your sales increase because of this fantastic reputation for service which you're gaining. But it's going to be a heck of a job putting a monetary amount on that. How are you going to predict how much your sales are going to increase by in year 3, in year 4, in year 5, because reputation grows slowly, sales increasing year 3, year 4, and year 5 because of this new bit of software we're putting in, and then converting those extra sales to extra profits and so on. There's a lot of guesswork there, yet this may be, in fact, the most valuable benefit coming from the new software. And of course, there's always the fear, if I don't modernize, if I don't do things better, and my competitors do, then I will be left behind. And sometimes people go into new systems projects, not because they really want to, but because almost they're forced to through competition, that you have to match what they can do. Assuming the cost-benefit analysis that we can some way justify the project in terms of hoped-for benefits, then the next stage is investigation, analysis and design, or next stages of these three, usually run together. So investigation is really finding out what are we doing at the moment, how do we make our money, because the chances are that at the moment, if you are making money, for example, or operating satisfactorily, what you're doing is a kind of minimum processing you must be doing, that you must do at least that. You must present at least those services, produce at least those products, give people at least that basic service, because that's what's made you successful at the moment. So understand where we are, and it's almost like the Hippocratic Oath of doctors, where the first thing you have to say is first do no harm. So don't mess up what you're good at. Then what you need to do is really analyze the organization's needs and indeed its stakeholders' needs. How could we maybe improve what they're doing at the moment with better information, better use of technology to deliver better products and better services? So here's what they're doing now, here's what they could do, and then what we have to do is to design a system which will do it. Decide what hardware you need, write or buy the required software to do it, and this is the design phase. This is a very long phase to make sure that the software is going to be and the system is going to be operating in a way which is required. So after the software is designed, you have to acquire the software, either by having it written by a software house, and this is fantastically expensive. Software takes a long time to write, and basically you've got a team of people sitting down, typically for a year, spending their time developing your software, and you don't get a lot of change out of a special bespoke bit of software. You won't get a lot of change out of $100,000 or even $250,000. Your alternative is to buy ready-made software packages. So there's a great variety of software packages available now, specializing maybe for travel agents, for insurance brokers, for retail organizations, and so on. And you can buy this off the shelf. The great thing about this is it tends to be cheaper because the development costs are spread over many users. It's instant. It usually works reasonably well unless it's really new. But if it's been around for a year or so, most of the really bad flaws have been found and corrected there. And usually also, as part of the deal, they're going to supply you with reasonable support and updates. So it's very attractive to go for these ready-made software packages, much less risk, much less cost. But remember, if all the, let's say, opticians in one town use the same optician's software package, they are kind of constrained into giving rather the same service. The software does what it does, and for you to do something different is going to maybe require you to break out of that and to take the risk and have something specially written. So maybe some people, to simply provide a better service and to differentiate themselves from the competitors, is to say, I won't use this package, I will take the risk and have something else written. You must train staff. A lot of damage is done both to morale of staff and maybe to customer relations if software is implemented that people can't work properly or make errors on. The new machines and software have to be installed and the whole system has to be thoroughly tested. That training can take place before that. You can go and train on somebody else's, the supplier's machines and software and so on. And then there is file conversion. File conversion is where maybe you have your old receivables records in the old filing system. They could even be manual. And you have to transfer all of those balances, all of that invoice information, dates and amounts. You have to transfer that into the new system, the new receivables ledger, so it's set up ready to go, ready to receive the receipts of cash coming in, set up to do age receivables analyses and so on. This is often a lot of work, but it's essential that care is taken with it, because if you don't start off the new system with the right data in it, it's never going to become right. So there's a lot of care needs to be taken, control totals and checks and so on, to make sure that the data is transferred properly, is converted, if you like, to the new files. And then there is changeover. Changeover is where you move from the old system and you begin using the new system. And basically there are 4 ways you can do it. First of all, there is direct. And strictly this means on a Friday afternoon, you switch off the old system, you throw out the old computer, you maybe sack some of the old staff, and on Monday morning you switch on your shiny new machine and have your staff already retrained and they begin using it. Thank goodness it's called direct because it begins with D. D also stands for dangerous, D also stands for disastrous. Because by and large things are not going to go smoothly in this. Your staff will make errors, there may be undiscovered flaws in the software and so on, and to suddenly have to rely maybe for all your operations on one new system that nobody's really used in a real life situation before is very dangerous. Instead of that, people tend to be encouraged, first of all, maybe to do a parallel run, where you keep the old system going along, at least essential elements of it, and you start the new system at the same time. Now there's duplication of work there, but at least it means if the new system doesn't work, you have at least got basic records and a basic processing capability on the old system. As you gain confidence in the new system, then you can remove the old system. It's a much safer method. A pilot operation is very suitable where you have let's say a number of branches, shops, and instead of computerizing maybe all 20 branches at the same time, you say, well, I'll try one. I'll try this system out in one of my branches. It's almost like doing a little mini feasibility study again to see if you get the benefits coming in that one branch. It means if there's something wrong with the software system, the damage is confined to one part of your organization. It allows you to perfect the software there. It allows you to get expertise there. And once you feel comfortable within one branch, you spread it, hopefully painlessly, through the whole system. And then there is phased changeover. This is saying if, for example, you're putting in a new computerized system, I will start doing the receivables ledger 1 month. I'll get used to that. And once I'm comfortable with that, then I'll start the payables ledger the next month. And once they're both working well, then maybe what I'll do is the wages and salary system and so on. So you do little by little, you phase it in so that staff are not maybe overwhelmed by everything changing at once. But it's not everything that can be suitable for this phase changeover. But the most dangerous is the the direct. And then finally, after the system has been running for a few months, let it settle down, let people get used to it, efficient with it and so on, then you go around and you say, well, how's it doing? Have all the benefits that were hoped for in the feasibility study, have they come to pass? Is there anything you'd like change that would make the system a little bit better and so on as well? Is there anything we can learn from this process that we went through? Has the whole thing been worthwhile? And this may lead to some form of maintenance. And there are three types of maintenance. Corrective maintenance, where there is a flaw in the software, it is not working correctly. You have to fix that. There is no choice about that. So this is what may come out of this early review. There is adaptive maintenance. Maybe the tax rules change, and therefore you are forced maybe to change your wages and salaries software to keep up to date with legislation. And then the one you need to be careful with is perfective maintenance. This is where the software works okay, but people would like it to work better, to produce different reports, to work maybe slightly quicker and so on. But remember, this may be people asking for small improvements, which might be very expensive to put through. And strictly speaking, for perfective maintenance, you ought to do a kind of little mini feasibility study. Yes, it will cut half an hour off your daily working, but it's going to cost $250,000 to do that. And that's an awful lot of half hours, if you like, that have to be saved to pay for that. So perfective maintenance can be a bit of a slippery slope that we just need to watch a little bit. When new systems are being thought about and maybe being talked about, staff will often be frightened. New IT systems can confront employees with considerable changes to the work environment, and indeed it can confront sometimes customers with considerable changes in how they interact with you and so on. And it's not uncommon for employees and others to resist change. And of course some of it's very understandable. Automation implies, or improving an IT system nearly implies that, well, maybe somebody's going to lose their jobs. Or maybe they're going to have a more boring job, a more routine job, whose all maybe slightly more interesting stuff is done automatically by the computer. Maybe it's going to split up their departments so that they will be separated from colleagues. Maybe they fear this new system is going to be monitoring their work rate and they're going to lose control, or maybe they'll even fear they can't use a new system. And these are very understandable, and what we should do is to try to overcome this resistance to change, because if it persists, then it can be a very large, very great impediment to improvements. The common ways to overcome resistance to change are these. First of all, educate and communicate. In other words, you explain why we're doing this. You tell people, look, if we don't do this, our competitors are going to overtake us. Or we say we don't anticipate maybe any redundancies. So everything that you can do to educate and communicate the nature of the change to people will probably help. Participation is a great mechanism for overcoming resistance to change. Ask people, say, well, how do you think a new system should work? How do you think this could improve the way we're operating? How do you think this could improve the service we're giving to patients or to students or to customers? Envision the future. Say to people, yes, I know we're going to have parallel running where maybe the workload is going to be, doubled or something for a month. But after that hard time, after you've had the course and the retraining and so on, in 2 months and 3 months' time, you are going to find it far easier and faster and more rewarding to do your job. So let's just try and get through this tough bit and envision a slightly longer term future. Explain to people that support and training will be available. They won't be left just to swim or sink. That will try to help you in you learning and becoming adept at the new system. Negotiate with people. Okay, you're going to become more productive. Maybe you could get a bit of a pay rise. Or maybe pay you extra for going on this training course or for getting this qualification. And then power and coercion. If all else fails, you can say, I'm sorry, if you can't adapt to this new system, then you will have to find another job. We'll give you support and training, but after 3 months of trying to do it, if you still can't do it, then that is grounds for dismissal. It's a bit tough, maybe getting there. It is pretty much as a last resort, but it is a last resort that employers often have. Of course, you might decide not to run your own system at all. We did in an earlier lecture talk about outsourcing, and IT is a common area of a business to outsource rather than doing it yourself. In many businesses, running the IT department is not how they make money. Running the IT department is a kind of necessary evil. They have to have it to record accounting transactions or whatever. And if it's not a core activity, then it is maybe ripe for outsourcing. So potential advantages, just to reiterate again, you can be outsourcing to a specialist IT company who may actually do it better. And because they're a specialist IT company, maybe having a huge computer of which you're sharing a little bit of time on it, they may even do it cheaper. They can get great economies of scale in these large IT operations. Great expertise, up-to-date knowledge. They know all the latest ways of maybe protecting a system against hacking and so on. You transfer risk to them. If the system goes down, you're not running around trying to get it fixed and so on. It's up to them to find out why the website has failed and why a virus has got in and so on. And it leaves management free to concentrate on how you make money. If your business is not IT, your business is doing something else, and you want to concentrate on where you have the expertise to make money, and in a way to send all of this other kind of housekeeping stuff to somewhere else. Potential disadvantages of outsourcing IT. Again, we've said some of this before. It may not be very responsive to your needs. The outsourcing company, quite likes repeating over and over and over again what it's doing, getting kind of maximum efficiency, but you want an improvement to the website. You may have to join some sort of queue to get the website updated by the outsourcer. Confidential data is transferred outside. Outsourcing might be more expensive, and it's something I think we didn't say before, that outsourcing can be quite difficult to reverse. If you outsource your IT system, you're selling your hardware and software to a third party, and you're moving the employment of people who were your IT department to the outsourcer. There's a transfer of employment often takes place here. So the outsourcer has got their claws into you by offering you a very good deal, a nice cheap deal. But then in 3 years' time, after that contract is up, they come to renegotiate it, and you find the expense has gone up considerably. And basically they're saying, well, you've got rid of your machines, you've got rid of your software, you've got rid of your expertise, you've got rid of your people. Of course, if you don't want us to run it, you can take it all back. But it's a lot of risk, a lot of difficulty in kind of reversing that back into your company. And so many organizations who have outsourced kind of do regret it later, that the outsourced company has got a considerable hold on them. E-business. E-business is a form of use of IT. Strictly speaking, e-commerce is a phrase which refers to the customer-facing side of the business. It's what you see when you go to, say, Amazon's website. You are experiencing e-commerce. E-business has that, but it's also got all the kind of backroom operations of making sure the dispatches actually happen, making sure the inventory is in stock, and so on, that the business is properly financed. And e-business has made a fantastic difference to e-commerce, or people rather talk about the 6 I's of e-business and e-marketing here. Once you go online and begin e-business or e-commerce, then the nature of your business changes radically. And the 6 I's explain this quite well. Intelligence. Usually, if you're buying from an internet company, usually you will register. You don't always have to, but 9 times out of 10, you will probably register. And once you have registered, they begin to keep records of everything you have bought and maybe everything you look at. Even if you don't register, they can put a little, what's called a cookie on your computer, a little bit of information, which tells them, well, you've been there before, and the last time you were there, this is what you were kind of interested in. And you've probably seen this. You visit a website, you look at a particular article, you go to another website, and this article you look at keeps following you around, keeps popping up on all of these websites, even though you didn't register with it. And so these people, they don't know who you are, but they know that the person using your machine was interested in that particular product. So it's fantastic for collecting intelligence. And once they have intelligence, then they can individualize the website, the look of it. So if I go to Amazon, for example, it knows what I bought for the last 10, 15 years. It can bring up recommendations for music, for books, for other items, and so on there. And it's individualizing my view of their website. I can interact with it. Again, on Amazon, I'm encouraged to write reviews of books or music or films and so on. I can see other people's reviews. I can decide how quickly I want the goods delivered to them. I can put stuff into my shopping bag, my shopping basket. I can take them out and so on. I can review, as I say, review and read reviews and so on. There's almost a sense of community going on in some of this interactivity. There is integration. Once I say, bless my, buy on Amazon, to a large extent, everything then happens automatically. Little kind of robots go scurrying about on the Amazon website, picking my goods, putting them into boxes, and nearly dispatching them. So it becomes very, very efficient. Independence of location. You don't know where many of these places are. You don't care where many of these places are. If I buy something from Amazon, I don't know often whether it's coming from the UK or coming from abroad, nor do I care. And the great thing about this is this offers great opportunities for small businesses because it gives you almost a global platform. As a small business, people don't know necessarily how small you are. You have a very nice looking website. They don't know where you are based geographically. And you have this global audience which is potentially there. And finally, the last I, industry. The structure of the industry is changed. Think what e-business has done to the sale of music. You can barely buy a CD nowadays, it's MP3. Think what it's doing to the sale of films, where Netflix is maybe taking over. Think what it is doing to retail organizations in general, where maybe you go and try on a pair of shoes or a shirt, and then you go scurrying home and you place the order with Amazon, where it maybe comes more cheaply. Similarly, ebooks, what that is doing to bookshops and the publishing industry. So very radical changes to the structure of industries.